YieldMax just released a bombshell announcement this week. Reverse splits on 12 of their covered call ETFs. Some of them, like ULTY and CONY, very popular holdings amongst the covered call ETF investors, are getting hit with a 10-to-1 reverse split. So naturally, you're asking, did my distributions, did my NAV just get slashed by 90%? I get it. Reverse splits do sound scary, especially if you only know what reverse splits mean in the equity and stock world. But for covered call ETFs, it isn't what you think. So let's talk. Hello there. My name's Perry. And welcome to the Pieverse. I haven't done a video in a few days, by the way. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. I've been doing a lot of work setting up my membership in the channel, my members only channel, members only portion of my channel. That went live this week. And by the way, I'm very happy. I'm absolutely shocked. In only the first few days, I already got almost 50 members. So thank you for those that did become members of my channel. I'm hoping that I'm going to provide that added value to you. For those that aren't members, no problem at all. You're still going to get the same videos. I don't provide any more videos to the members than the non-members. So that's basically what you're going to get. And I'm going to try to get back into the routine now that I've set that service up. So that was my little heads up. And again, I wanted to thank those that did join my Pieverse patrons and my Pieverse Pillars membership. And anyway, so let's go. And as I just said, so this week, YieldMax, I was shocked because I only found out about it just late last night. YieldMax announced a massive reverse split announcement. So they did it on 12 of their covered calls. Several of them are quite popular amongst several investors. I know for a fact that I hold 8 covered call ETFs from YieldMax still. And from what I saw on the announcement, 2 of mine were impacted. Now, again, a lot of you have maybe never gone through a reverse split before. I guess I can call myself a bit of a veteran because I have gone through 2 of them. One of them was with YieldMax itself about 2 years ago. I'd say it's almost a year and a half ago. I don't know exactly when. So YieldMax was the first time I actually did go through it when TSLY did a reverse split. I don't remember what it was, if it was a 3-to-1. I can't remember the number, but I did go through a reverse split with them about 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. I'll say 2 years, under 2 years ago, maybe. And then the other one is shortly after that, Defiance, also with 3 of their ultra yielders. I don't remember with one of them. I did hold all 3 of them, but I still do hold 2 of them, which was QQQY and IWMY from Defiance. They also did reverse splits. They were 3-to-1s. So I went through it there again. Again, I'm still here. I'm still living. My portfolio is still doing better than ever. So I want to turn around and try to ease some of the fears and stop panicking. Reverse splits are not like they are in the stock market world, in the equity world. With covered call ETFs, a reverse split is a little bit more of a, okay, it happened, let's move on type of thing. It's really nothing more than a restructuring. Now, that doesn't mean that this is great news in the long term. It does mean that it's happening for a reason. So we'll talk about what that means as well. But with regards to the announcement, and I guess it may have shell-shocked you, some of you people are wondering some questions like, did I just lose my distribution? Did I lose 90% of my distributions? Or did I lose 90% of my equity, of my NAV? So let's talk about it. The first I want to talk about is what the announcement was. Now, I took some of the announcement and made it into a little bit more simple chart. So let's go over there and I'll show you what they are. For you guys that hold some of them, we'll give you a list of which ones they are and see if any of them are on your list. So, all right, so here is the list from what I did. My co-pilot helped me turn this into a nice clean chart. So what YieldMax announced is that they are going to do a one, they call it a 1 for 10. Most people call it a 10 for 1. In other words, you had 10, you're going to only get 1. So, but here they refer to it as a 1 for 10. So they did a 1 for 10 reverse split on the following ETFs. One of them is ULTY. which is a standard covered call ETF. And I'm going to tell you why that means that, because the other ones are what are called inverse ETFs. They actually are ETFs designed to go in the opposite direction to the markets. So that would be crash, dips, fiat. These three are ones that have notoriously been going down in NAV. And the reason is because as long as the markets are going up, they're always being hurt because they're the contrarian type of covered call ETFs. But they are down quite a bit. So they've done a 10-to-1 on crash, on dips, on fiat. Murni, which has been right out of the gate, Murni from YieldMax has been a dog. I don't even know why they don't even basically close that cover call ETF, give the few investors that have it their money back and just get out of it. But Murni's never been popular ever since the pandemic is quelled. And then there's AIYY that did a 10-to-1 split. And CONY, which is another one of mine. So ULTY and CONY on this list are two that I hold. And they're both getting a 10-to-1 reverse split. On the other ones, they did a reverse split of a 5-to-1 ratio on other ones, such as YBIT. One of them that I had until only about 2 months ago. I actually closed my YBIT position and moved them into others. I believe I moved them into Roundhill. But anyways, I no longer hold YBIT. But if you are a holder of YBIT, it's one. TSLY is now going through its second round of reverse splits. I believe the first one, as I was mentioning to you when I actually held it at that time, I got out of TSLY for a few reasons, but I won't say what those reasons are. But anyways, TSLY, I went through the first reverse split. They're now getting another reverse split. So again, let's keep this in mind. This is a covered call that is now going through its second round of reverse splits. It's still here. It's still producing distributions. People still hold it. So anyways, it's getting one. XYZY, ABYY, and OARC. OARC and TSLY were actually, I think, one of the first two of the cover call ETFs put out by YieldMax. This is the first one, I think, for OARC to be reverse split on, but this is Tesla's second round of reverse splits. So that being said, let's first talk about what this means, and then I'm going to actually pull up my own spreadsheet to show you what that means for my spreadsheet so that I can give you an actual live demonstration of what it means. Okay, so first of all, I want to point out, I'm going to go back to myself here so I can talk to you personally. First thing I want to tell you, in reverse splits for cover call ETFs, first of all, nothing changes with regards to your distributions and nothing changes with regards to your NAV. So what it means is for every 10 shares that you have or units you have, what you're going to do is you're now only going to get one. They're going to take your 10 and they're going to reduce it down by 10 times to 1. But the price per share will be multiplied by 10. So I'm just going to use an arbitrary number. If, let's say, ULTY's price was $1, it's not, it's about 4 something US. But if it was at $1, and with this reverse split, you will now, let's say you had 10 shares. I'm just giving an arbitrary number there to keep things really simple. You had 10 shares of ULTY at $1. You will now, after this reverse split, which I believe is going to happen before the end of the month, pardon me, you will now only have one share, but that one share will now be worth $10. So 10 times 1 or 1 times 10, the answer is still 10. You will end up having $10 worth of NAV. So there's your thing. So that's the one thing they're going to do. The second thing that happens when they do a reverse split is also your distributions. Now, that means that their distributions, if they announce a distribution, let's use ULTY. If ULTY had the previous distribution was, say, 10 cents, and assuming they weren't going to change that structure, let's say the next distribution was also going to be 10 cents. Instead of you getting 10 cents for each one of your 10 shares or units, you're now going to get $1 for your one. So it was 10 times 1 and 1 times 10. At the end of the day, before the reverse split, you would have got $1 worth of distributions for those. And if it was the other way around, after that, you're going to get $1 worth of distributions because it's going to be 1 unit times $1. So again, This is a restructuring. The reason they do this restructuring, for the most part, is for a couple reasons. One is the fact that if a cover call ETF, like any equity or anything that's on the markets, like the exchanges, if it gets too close to about $1 or $2, they're at risk of the cover call ETF being delisted, and they don't want to delist it. So what they do is they basically lift it up in price. Companies' stocks do the same thing, but they lift it up in price and say, okay, you know what, we're getting too low. Let me bring this back up to a common number. The one number you're going to see, and I believe YieldMax put this announcement out, I think about the first time they did this reverse split, but I think anytime they were releasing a new cover call ETF, they said we'd like to keep it at the $40, $50 range or more per unit. So the reason they're doing 10 to 1s and 5 to 1s, and again, I haven't actually calculated out what the number is going to be yet, but we can look at it in the spreadsheet. They're going to want to get the ETF unit price back up into around the $40, $50, $60 range per unit. When they started 2 or 3 years ago, their unit price at inception was only around $20. They are now wanting it to be around $40, $50. So that's why you're seeing such a huge one. If they're going to go through the pain and the ugliness of having to announce a reverse split, they're going to do it at a level that they can bring it up high enough so that if it does continue to erode, and we know that ULTY and CONY do have NAV erosion, some's faster, some slower, they want to put it at a level up here so that if this NAV erosion does continue, it's going to take quite a while for it to get back down for another NAV erosion or for another reverse split. Again, using TSLY saying that this is its second round. So they brought it up, I believe, back then up to $20, and it has now eroded back down again, and now they're going to do another reverse split. So doing reverse splits, I won't say it's common. It's common amongst maybe those that are very much ultra yielders, and YieldMax and Defiance are the only two that I know of. There may be others. Don't remember them. They're definitely the only two I've held where they've gone through reverse splits. Again, I'm going to say it's not good to go through reverse split because it's not that the reverse split itself is an issue. It's more of an issue that people are going to start questioning is like, well, if you have to go through a reverse split, what's going on? Why are your ETF managers not holding the NAV properly? Why are they always eroding? So it is a bad reputation for YieldMax that doesn't seem to know how to stop their cover call ETFs from eroding. That being said, they will not go to zero. So let's go to all the naysayers about cover call ETFs that see, look, Perry, here it goes. They're going down. No, the cover call ETFs, as long as their underlying exists, like CONY still has coin, as long as coin's there, CONY will exist as a cover call ETF. If it gets too low as a NAV price or a unit price, they just do this to bring it back up high so it can keep doing what it's doing. Again, what they should be doing is fixing their NAV erosion problem. And again, that's up to the ETF managers to do. They also know that every time they do this, there is a risk that they might lose outflows of cash because not everyone really understands how these reverse splits work. And so you're going to get a couple of people that are going to, several of their clients are like, you know what? I've had enough of YieldMax. I've had enough of the reverse splits. I want something with a more stable NAV. So the big issue for YieldMax, not as much the ETF investors, but YieldMax, is that these once popular cover call ETFs are starting to lose AUM. It wouldn't shock me that after this, I'm sure they know that they're going to see some outflows of cash as people said, okay, I'm going to just take my loss. I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to go somewhere else. It's a good, very quick thought to do if you're a cover call ETF holder of these, but that's not as simple as it sounds. And I actually have created videos that showed, because I have CONY. I've had CONY for 2 years, and it's eroded. My CONY has eroded 70%. So I was like, okay, maybe I got to get rid of it. But it's not as black and white as you think, and we'll talk about that later. So the first bad news for it is they've got to fix their erosion problem because you don't want to have a reputation of having a cover call ETF that's on the market that everyone's like, well, yeah, we already know YieldMax. I'm going to avoid YieldMax. They were that old generation where NAV erosion was acceptable. Nobody wants an acceptable NAV erosion, wants NAV erosion as acceptable. So I think YieldMax has got a reputation problem, and they're going to have to fix this, because if they don't, people are going to continue to walk away from YieldMax as the old generation that accepted NAV erosion as being an okay thing. It's not an okay thing. YieldMax, if I'm talking to you, you need to fix this problem, and you need to figure out how you're going to stop the eroding NAV. Okay? Anyway, that's your problem, not mine. So the other thing is why did they do this also? The other reason they do this is because if, similar to a stock like a penny stock, same with a covered call ETF, institutional investors that might consider wanting to invest in covered call ETFs as part of their strategy for their clients or for their own sake, they may turn around and say, you know what, I don't invest. I have thresholds, and I'm not going to invest in any covered call ETF that basically has a unit price that's $5 or $7 or under $10. So the closer it gets to $2, $3, the more institutional and large, say retail investors will turn around and say, I'm not interested. So again, it goes back to a problem for them with reputation and outflow of their investment of their product, right? They don't want to see that, because that means their AUM drops. That means they're making less profits. So that is the main reason they do it. So let's talk about this. That is really the only factor. After today, next week, let's say they finish the reverse split and effectively do it. I don't know if they're going to do it like on the 23rd. It's going to happen in about the next week or two, I would assume. I bet you it's going to happen before November. But let's say you've now gone past it. Again, for your case, you're not going to see a difference. You're going to get an announcement from your broker that's going to say that we've just cut your unit count by 10 or by 5, depending on which one you have. They're going to set it at a new price. So you're going to go through that transition. For me, it's going to be a pain in the rear end, because my spreadsheet has to recalculate this manually. Your sites like Snowball Analytics and Yahoo Finance and all the ones that you use for tracking your brokers, they'll all do that for you, but my poor little spreadsheet will not do that. I have to do that manually. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you my spreadsheet. Let me move my little guy myself out of the way here. I'm going to show you what this means on my actual spreadsheet, so you can actually see a real life example of what this means. So this is my spreadsheet. I've taken out all the other ETFs that I hold that have no relevance to this topic. Makes it a little bit bigger to watch. I know some people complain that my spreadsheet is too small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger yet. So I just want to show you what these ETFs are. This is my main portfolio spreadsheet. What I want to show you is here's QQQY and IWMY. They basically did a reverse split about, I guess, maybe a year ago. I can't remember exactly. So here it is. You can see, I think it was a 3-to-1 split. I did have their third one was for the S&P. I did sell that one away. So these are the only two cover call ETFs that I still hold from Defiance, other than USOY, that actually went through a split. You could see that I went through a reverse split, because look at my share count. My share count is 951 and 982. The reason that happened is because things don't divide equally. So if it doesn't divide equally, they come to as close a 3-to-1 count as they can. And then if I remember correctly, because I actually do remember, they still have a few dollars left. So I believe the broker will receive and put it back into your account, whatever the extra money is, because they don't give you partial shares. I had 951, and then they likely gave you a cash distribution to make up for the balance, so that the number would divided, equally. Because they can't turn around and say we're going to do a 3-to-1 split, but some of it basically. Oh, hang on a second, I can actually see it. August 2nd, 2024. There you go. So it was just over a year ago they did it. So they divide it, in this case, 3-to-1. I got 951, and I think I got another $25 or $2 or whatever that was put in my account. So for you, when you look at yours and you do it at 10-to-1 and it's an odd number, they're going to get as close as they can for you, and then they're going to give you a cash distribution to make it equal. Okay? So USOY, this is another one that's my defiance. This is one that's been eroding. You can see over here, I'm just going to show you right here. This one's been eroding slowly but surely. You can see the green, and ever since then it's been going down. This is a 6-month trend. I know sooner or later this is going to be another one. I'm actually a little bit surprised that, oh, sorry, this is Defiance. So they may still announce this over here. I was going to say I'm a little surprised that YieldMax didn't include USOY in its 10-to-1 or 5-to-1 split, but this is Defiance, not YieldMax. So I won't be shocked if USOY in the next month or 2 or 3 months doesn't do a reverse split as well. But anyways, off topic. So I'm going to talk about the ones that I have. So these are all my YieldMax. You can see here my ETF manager is YieldMax for all of these. LFGY, no problem with it. It was not included. I got it under special notes. It was not included in the reverse split. My ULTY was included in the reverse split. So I have 2,200 shares. It's going to be divided. It's going to be reduced 10 times. My PLTY wasn't included. It's a very healthy, very good cover call ETF. Even though it's a little down now, that's because the markets are down. But generally speaking, you can see it's in a pretty good range. It's not indicating any signs of erosion. It's a pretty good one. AMZI, another one that's basically holding its own, no problem there. My MISTY, of course, it's gotten some major things. So here's your 6-month trend. You can see green at the top and red at the bottom, meaning that it's been declining for 6 months. Now, the reason I say declining, not eroding, is because the reason it's declining is because its underlying has been declining the same way. This is not erosion. When your underlying is declining, and your ETF is going down, on par to it, or generally tracking it on its way down, that's not erosion. That is an underlying decline. So this is not erosion. And therefore, they can't really count doing it over on this one because, first of all, it wasn't low enough. I think right now I say Misty's at $8. That's not low enough for them to do a 10-to-1 or a 5-to-1 split. But the other reason is, it's not doing it because of NAV erosion. So I don't think they would have picked it anyways. It's because of the underlying is going down. And then NVIDIA, another one that's not having any issues. It has a very healthy trading box here. So they didn't see any indications. It's still at a very good current price of $15.41. So that one was not considered by YieldMax to be a reverse split. Hui absolutely is not looking at a reverse split. Its current price is in the 50s, and they like 50s. It's not even close to anything in single digits. So this one's not got any issues. And then there's my CONY. CONY, for me, as you can see, I'm down 74% since I bought it 2 years ago. 2 years ago this month. I've held it for 2 years. It's now eroded 74% since I first bought it. It has shown a very slow decline in NAV. So that you can see here, and they did pick it because it's currently at a $5.20 price. And I guess the YieldMax said, nope, this one's too low. Let's get it back up to a more attractive number like 50 or 60 or 70. So I'm going to give you the change here. And I'm going to say, okay, so let's look at the two that did do the 10-to-1s. So this is what it's going to mean for me. Currently, my cost price. Now, I'm going to talk in Canadian, but if you guys want to do it, it doesn't matter. Here's my US price, and there's the Canadian price, US price, Canadian price. I'm doing everything in my Canadian prices, just so bear with me. When you see the new prices, it's at my Canadian price. Drop it by about 39% if you want to know the US price. Okay, so here's ULTY. Currently, I have 2,200 shares or 2,200 units of ULTY. I've held it for 5 months. If after I finish the 10-to-1 split sometime in the next week or two, my broker is going to basically convert my 2,200 ETFs units to 220 units. Okay, so when they do the split, the broker is going to tell me you've just been reverse split. I'm going to see 220 units in my brokerage after they've formalized the split. Okay, the other thing you're going to see is you can see right now ULTY's current Canadian price is $8.76. It was at, oh, sorry, not that. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm looking at book price. So at my book price, I was going to say that's pretty high. I don't know what's going on here. So let's go back over here. So when they do it, they base it on current price. Over there is book costs. I'm doing it on current price. So what they're saying is that after ULTY finishes its 10-to-1 split, I'm going to be at a Canadian price of $5, and it was $5.90. When I'm done, I'm going to see that my Canadian price per share is going to be $59.02. Okay. If you guys want to know what the number is, let me help you here. So basically, it's going to be this 421 times 10. I'm going to see it basically the US price of ULTY when it's finished the conversion. You're going to have 10 times less ETFs, and you're going to see it at a price of 42.10. No longer 421. It's now going to be 42.10. Actually, stupid me. It's time 10. I should have known that number right away. Okay. The other thing you're going to see is here's my current NAV. I just wanted to show my current NAV, ULTY right here. So here's my current NAV right now for ULTY. If you can see over here, currently before the split, I'm at 12,984. When they finish the split, my new NAV is going to be 12,984. So I only have 220 units. My new Canadian price will be 59.02. And my NAV is not changed. It will still be 12,984, just like it was before. The old distribution. So let's talk about distributions. The old distribution for ULTY last month, I don't, because it does it weekly, so I collect things up at a monthly basis. So for the last full month, the old distributions for ULTY was 63 cents Canadian. When it's done, it's going to be, I wonder why I did it. Hang on, let me see here. S35. Yeah, I got to see over here. It should basically be 1/10 of what it is. So let's go over here. So ULTY is right here. So it said it currently was at 6. Yeah, well, there. So basically you do this times 10. Oops. I don't know why it's doing this. Anyways, what it's basically going to be is where it was basically right here. I'm just going to do this here. Sorry, you're getting live in a Technicolor, including my fumbling around. So my ULTY's last price, current price was 620 something. So if I do this and I say, okay, so that basically means it's going to be, well, it's the same thing. So instead of 63 cents, it's going to be $6.30 or $6.27. So my new distribution, nothing changes. So my 220 now will get a monthly distribution of $6.27. Before it was 2,200 units and I was only getting 63 cents. So anyways, so nothing changes there. For CONY, same thing. I currently hold 2,300 units. It's now going to drop to 230. My price before the conversion was $7.29, and now it'll be $72.90 Canadian, right? My NAV before the conversion was 16,700, and after 16,700, its old price was 80 cents per month on distributions. When it's done, it'll be $8.05. Now, the one thing you're going to say is, oh yeah, okay, but all you're doing after this conversion is restructuring your units and your distributions based on a new ratio. What it doesn't say here, it doesn't stop CONY and ULTY from continuing their bad news story of continuing to erode. So it doesn't mean that the next distribution for, let's say right now for CONY, last month, it was 80.5 cents for the previous month. For November, it might now, let's say the conversion's happening in November, but say for December, at the end of December, it could be 79, or it could now instead of it being 70 or 80 cents, it's now $8. So what it means is, it doesn't mean that CONY is going to stay at $8. If they continue their NAV erosion issues and they don't solve that and their distributions do go down, instead of giving you in December an $8 distribution, they might give you a $7.95 one. But everything's going to be based on the new 10 times model. And again, if you have one of the 5 times, it's going to be 5 times model. Okay? I think that's about it. I've really sort of talked this to death. I'm just going to go back to my little talking hole here. So I hope this helps. For those people that have never gone through it, you're going to go through one right now. You don't see me panicking. I've gone through it several times, so I don't have a problem with it. I mean, the part that is the issue also is more so the fact that you know, with or without the reverse split, when is YieldMax going to deal with their erosion issue for some of their ETFs? Not all their ETFs, some of their ETFs. Again, I'm not seeing it with HUI. I'm not seeing it with NVIDIA. I'm not seeing it with PLTY. And again, LFGY is not, it's basically, I don't consider that erosion. They're doing pretty good. They're more market driven and because a lot of decline in Bitcoin and crypto. So LFGY is not one that's really a concern to me. It's actually one of my favorite cover call ETFs. So you're only seeing it on a few of them, but really YieldMax has got to deal with the issue on the few that they do have erosion on. They need to fix it. Not, you guys as investors could decide, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to sell out of it and I'm going to go somewhere else. I do have a video on it and I'm going to put that video in the description, or I'm going to put it like right up here, right up here. I did have one where it says it's not as black and white. If you want to try to get rid of an eroder, like I'm going to use CONY as that example in this video, watch that video and say it's not as simple as you think, because if you're trying to say, okay, Perry, I've got only $16,000 left from your initial investment of $65,000. I'm going to sell it and I'm going to go to something that's more stable. The problem is that if I now sell out and capitalize my loss on this 74% NAV erosion, and I now get a cash in hand of $16,000, remember, I'm just going to move over. The problem I have is that CONY is still at around a 90% yield. So in order for me to get the same kind of monthly distribution that I was getting out of CONY, I'd have to move it to another cover call ETF that has a similar current day 90% distribution. So keep that in mind. If you're going to do it, if you want to move to something else, you either go to, if you want to maintain your current monthly distribution that CONY had or whatever ULTY had, you're going to have to find something with a similar yield to move to that is not eroding, that is more stable. Keep that in mind. Ultimately, you can also decide, I've had enough of the ultra yielders. I'm going to take that $16,000 out of CONY, sell it, and I'm going to move to something a lot more stable, maybe like a WPay or like a HHIS or something, the other ones. So keep that in mind when you do it. Anyways, I'm going to give you that video. Please watch it because it's not as black and white on how to exit an eroding cover call ETF. And I hope that helps. And until next time, stay safe, stay investing, and I'll see you in the Piverse.